the pitch is looped towards shortstop. Petroselli's back. He's got it. The Red Sox win. They pandemonium on the field.
Welcome to the Great American Collectibles Show, brought to you each week by the National Sports Collectors Convention. Join us every Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and get the latest news from the greatest experts in the sports collectibles world. You can watch us on the Great American Collectibles Facebook page, as well as YouTube, or you can listen to us on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, or any of your favorite podcast platforms. And now your hosts, award-winning sports collectibles author Tom Zappola and Boston radio personality Lou Blasi.
Welcome, everybody, from the 18th floor, high above courtside in Singer Island, Florida, Phoenix Towers. Tom Zappola, afraid of heights, but what the hell, I have no choice now because we're here for a few more months. Lou Blasi's in the house. We have a really cool show today. We got really dear friends of ours, Chuck and Stacy Whisman. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey.
And you know something? They have become personalities. We're going to say personalities. We're going to talk about that. You guys have a great show.
Thank you.
Episode 3 was very good.
Oh, good. You saw it.
Yeah.
Nice.
And in the second hour, we have our dear friend who I call him an outlier in the hobby because he has done everything against the grain, but he's done very well. And I'm saying that facetiously because he is probably one of the, I would say, one of the greatest Mickey Mantle memorabilia collectors in the world, Steve Lane, attorney Steve Lane. Steve's going to be joining us, but he's not going to talk about his memorabilia, Yankee memorabilia, because quite frankly, I don't really care about it. But what we are going to chat about is something that Steve brought to my attention yesterday, and I know a lot of people have been talking about the whole Tony Clark Players Union, Players Association, him resigning, but it gets a little deeper than that. And how it's going to affect the hobby, or is it going to affect the hobby? We're going to talk about that. But we have Chuck and Stace on. Guys, first of all, I want to talk about, before we talk about the Wheatland Auctions, about the store, let's talk about the Hobby House video. Give us a little background first to how that all came to fruition. And then Lou has a really cool clip that Chuck sent us that we're gonna show you folks. It's a great show. It's everything that you want to know about the hobby and how it comes from just these two people and their family. It's just great. But tell us how it all evolved, Chuck, or Stace.
Yeah, so we started by being sponsors of the Card Life TV show with Matt Strom. They've done a great job for, I think, over 5 years now. They bring some great stories. They travel across the country. Matt's a pitcher on the Phillies, so they've brought a lot of great exposure with 12 episodes a year of the Card Life. They always wanted to do a day in the life of a card shop. So last March, they did that at our store and spent a whole day. It was on a Tuesday. We didn't tell anybody. So nothing was planned or prepped. And it was a festive, fun day.
Now, did they approach you?
I think we both talked about it, but they did approach us that they always wanted to do it. Right.
Right. I think we were talking with Brandon at the time about being a sponsor on the show and wanted to move forward with that. And I think that was kind of where the discussion started to come into play, where he's, just said, this is something I've always wanted to do. And Chuck is always happy to sign us up and get us involved in all kinds of stuff. So I was not surprised at all when all of a sudden they were coming to do a day in the life of a card shop at our store.
So when they came in, was it under the assumption that they were only going to do that one show?
Yes. And it was a show that aired last year. And the feedback that Brandon received from it and we received from it was awesome. Many people told Brandon, wow, it would be so cool to just have that be its own show. And we brainstormed and again signed up. And before we knew it, oh my gosh, we got to do 12 episodes and monthly episodes. And then it's like, wow, what else can we show people?
I was going to ask you that. Who's deciding on the formats for each month? Do you guys do that, or do you collaborate with them and make a decision?
Yeah, we collaborate.
I think that we definitely are collaborating, but I think one of the things that's really important for us, we wanted to make sure that we weren't just making a replica show of the card life. We wanted to make it something that's a little bit different. And so we're trying to keep the focus on the store in particular, the relationship between ourselves and the employees in the store, our customers coming in, and the things that we're seeing on a day-to-day basis. So I think that's kind of the angle that we're trying to take a little bit more, showing what the events look like when we host an event. So I think it's a little bit of everything. Brandon is wonderful to work with. He has great ideas. And then we try and just offer a little bit of our own ideas.
He's an awesome storyteller. He's been in
is.
sports producing of shows and episodes for colleges and all kinds of things over the years before the 5 years of the card life. So it really follows, okay, what's happening with us in our store? So second episode was the national convention. Right. Nobody's ever seen behind the scenes.
Which was very cool, by the way. That was very cool.
That,
Thank you. That was fun. That was a fun episode to film.
And you know how it is. That whole week of the national just wears you out,
Yeah. Lou, jump in here, by the way.
What do you think about the concept and the show itself that has connected with viewers so strongly? What are the things you're trying to emphasize and reinforce?
I think the just stories behind collectors and stuff that people might not know. One of my favorite things was, and it's been multiple wives of collectors that said to us, I had no idea. My husband's been collecting for years. I hear about comps. I hear about this and that. I have learned more by watching 2 shows about my husband's hobby that he's been doing for 3 decades that I never knew about. I did not expect to ever hear feedback like that.
That's very cool. Are you guys ever going to get into, like, I'm thinking, other shows, Pawn Stars, for instance, not getting into dicey things, but maybe showing an interaction between you and a PSA guy, grading cards, if you guys do grading, and maybe, not agreeing with him on just little things, or one of your employees making an honest mistake that you guys address and talk about so that everybody looks human. I mean, you guys, have you thought about any of that?
Yeah, we actually think about that a lot. And I think one of the things that we're trying really hard to do is to be very authentic in the show. So
that's my point.
We don't want to set up scenarios to try and create personalities. We've been trying to let everything happen very organically. And I think Brandon is so good about taking the information and the footage that sometimes we do the filming here in store, because Brandon is in Nebraska now. I think he's in Arizona. But just trying, but also wanting people to get to know us and getting to know our personalities, so that they feel that they can relate to us. And I know Chuck said, like, it's been great. We have had that feedback, like, wow, I never really realized that my husband had, what this hobby was all about. But trying to create a show that's interesting for everybody to watch together.
I'm hoping it's drawing people out from the shopping on eBay type of thing, because what we've learned doing the show over the years is that when you talk with the people involved and the passions involved and the stories behind the collections, which is so important, it just adds so much to the hobby. So getting out in a card store, getting out and talking to other businesses, again, as opposed to just putting bids in on eBay, is such a big enhancement for your enjoyment of the hobby.
That's a great point, Lou. That's a great point.
I want to add for us, because showing the purpose of a local card shop and what it does that you don't get shopping online or anything else. The first episode showed, a 14-year-old and a 65-year-old who are best friends because of collecting. They do shows together. They meet at the store and open packs together.
It's the community.
That's cool. Very cool. Do you guys, another thing that would be kind of really cool is, like Lou was talking about the backstory, so that a person will come in with a collection and tell you the story behind the collection, like we're doing for the book. Yes. Tell you the story behind the collection. You filmed that. So it becomes kind of a human interest story, besides them saying, hey, I have these cards. Would you want to pay for them? Or I want you to auction them off.
Yeah. Love to do that. And that's one thing we want to try to highlight more and more, where the consignor or the people are comfortable doing that. you know.
Sometimes it's not as easy to find people that are like, bring out the cameras. I want to be on camera.
Yeah.
A lot of people kind of like, I don't know if I want to do that.
Can I tell you something with this book project that we're doing? We're finding a lot of that, which is fine.
Yeah.
We're getting to the, we're getting the backstories, but on a few occasions, we get to the point where we talk to the person or the grandfather or the uncle that found the item, and they don't want their name used. They want to stay under the radar. They just want to remain anonymous. And we've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
But we learned that from the Uncle Jimmy collection.
Right.
The story behind the collection could go across the globe and resonate with people, not just then, but for years after. I mean, we still get comments all the time from people about the Uncle Jimmy.
By the way, that you do realize that is a prominent chapter in our book.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very prominent chapter. What we've done is we have on that first chapter of Legendary Finds, we have what we thought are the top 20 greatest finds of all time, and I think we have you guys as number 3 or 4. We have Mr. Mint, then we have I can't remember the other ones, Black Swamp, but there's we've got some. You're right up there, and it's cool. It's going to be a cool story. Anyway.
Yeah, and it really is about the love of collecting. Too many times, especially today, you have people, they open a pack. Oh, what's this worth? What's that worth? Or it's all about, what can I buy to make 30% margin or more?
Yeah.
And it's the collectors, and that's what we get in the store a lot too.
Right.
We tell kids all the time, collect what you love.
Do you guys get a lot of that? Where have you noticed? I mean, you guys. I think you guys basically you're vintage people going way back originally. And do you get a lot of that from young collectors that, I don't want to say you educate or lecture, but they're there just to flip the card because it's an investment? And when that happens, if you get a 15, 18-year-old kid coming in and say, hey, I've got this one of one, blah, 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 do you ever talk to them about it like you're saying? And it's, think about the love of the hobby rather than just the investment.
I think yesterday I said that to a little kid because he was like, I want to look up the value of every card out of that pack. And I'm like, hey, do it because you love it first, and who do you like? And we enjoy giving kids free stuff too. If we know they like football, whatever. If little girls come in, try to give them something that they might like, it might be a sport, might be a non-sport.
Yeah.
Because that, I started, I was fortunate. I had a sports card store walking distance from my house when I was a little kid. And I would go there for hours in a day and just collected the players I loved. And so Saturdays are fun days because we get more kids with parents than ever,
Do you guys have any kind of a relationship with Matt? Have you guys with Matt Strom? Have you met him? Has he nice guy?
Matt's a great guy, very down to earth. Super nice guy. We were bummed when he got traded from the Phillies because he was closer to us. But I think going to the Kansas City Royals, Bobby Witt Jr. is a big collector. So I expect Bobby might get more involved in some of the shows too with Matt.
Good, very cool.
So it's great to see a lot of young players in the leagues collect. Jared McCain of the Sixers, we did a TikTok with him.
Jared's a great kid. We've done a lot of stuff with Jared. He's a great kid. Great.
He's
not with the Sixers anymore. You know that.
Correct. Yep. One of the nicest humans I've ever met.
You know what he did for us when we did a Jimmy Fund thing down here it was for the Jimmy Fund. Lou, you remember?
Yeah.
When you were here with us, and he donated through his uncle Kenny, and then we spoke to him a pair of signed sneakers for the cancer kids that we auctioned off. He's just a great kid.
And when we did the TikTok at the practice facility, he gave us a tour beforehand.
Yeah,
he must have spent an hour with us. And I'll say this.
I'll say this too. During the tour, he knew every single person that we walked past. He knew the people that were at the front desk. He knew the people that were serving the food in the cafeteria. He knew every single person in every single office that we walked past.
Let me tell you something. Jared McCain will be back and will be a superstar in the NBA. He's already making a name for him. Lou, I don't know if you know anything about what happened to him. Last year, he was, for the first 2 months, he was an NBA Rookie of the Year. He was averaging about 15 or 16 a game. Then he tore his MCL or ACL, out for the season, then tore a ligament in his thumb, and tried to come back a little too early. Came back this season with the Sixers. Just wasn't performing because he's still not there physically. So the Sixers traded him to Milwaukee, right?
No, Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma.
Went to the best team.
Yeah. And it was like a 4-for-1 trade or some ridiculous thing. And he's really getting some good playing time, and he's really starting to make a name for himself in Oklahoma. So we're happy for him.
Yeah.
All right, listen, before we take a quick break, can we run that snippet now, Lou?
Yeah.
All right, so this is a snippet.
Set it up first, guys.
I'm sorry?
Why don't you set it up first, guys?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. This is a snippet that Chuck had his producer or his editor send us. Chuck, why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is so that we can run it properly?
Yeah, so Hobby House is our TV show, and it's behind the scenes of our store and at the national convention. So this is a piece from one of those segments. It airs on regional sports stations, and also you can find it on YouTube and other channels to stream. So yeah, it's fun. It's a little behind the scenes here.
But before you, for our
with the
Boston
show floor
fan,
opening up to the public for the first time at 4 p.m., the VSM team meets one final time.
Guys, we're 15 minutes from opening. People come in here from all over the world, ask their name, find out what they're looking for. People remember who you are, so this is a great time. Let's make a real positive experience for everybody. Let's have fun. Let's make it fun for people. Here we go.
VSM on 3. 1, 2, 3. VSM!
1, 2, 3. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it started.
The routine that follows for 4 hours this evening and 34 hours over the next 5 days will be much the same for everyone at the VSM booth.
Last three, 290, 285, 280, and then before we're all in the 240, 250 range. So, did you look at 250?
The word of every card show that is a bargaining chip for a buyer and a curse word to a seller is comp, short for comparative sale.
Yeah, PSA 9 just sold for $338 as well.
What did you comp this at?
I comped it at 380 is what it was.
Anyone shopping is going to find the lowest comp they can find to get a better price.
75 cash?
That's not a serious offer.
What's a serious
The
offer?
last two sold for $9,300 and $10,000. Sometimes the lowest I've ever seen might have been $8,000.
This did $18 and this is an 8.
For the most part, we priced everything on comps and what they're selling for. Sometimes I tell people with football, we pay above comps sometimes just to have the right cards for everybody. So to get all the new rookies and their autographs, we've been paying at or above comps. So we're happy to try to work with people, but don't have too much room.
4,200 with the Hulk in it. Deal?
Deal. Okay.
Very cool. Very cool.
How do you like working with older people or younger people when you're doing negotiating?
It all depends on the person.
Yeah.
But give a lot of grace to kids for sure.
Kids get a lot of good deals.
Yeah.
I would say.
I don't know. My patience would, going back and forth with the negotiating. Sometimes you got to get frustrated, though. You must.
Yeah, well, there's some stuff that I buy. We're buying things constantly at the National, as an example.
Sure.
I mean, we know what we paid for it. So if somebody could offer me less, I might have bought it an hour earlier. I'm telling you, my best price. Take it or leave it. I don't need stories. You don't need to try to convince me why I need to sell it to you for $40 less than I just paid for it.
Good point. Chuck and Stacy are in the house. Chuck and Stacy Whisman, We're going to switch gears in a few minutes. We're going to take a break now. We're going to come back with another crackerjack moment. And then I want to talk about Wheatland Auctions. I read a little bit about Wheatland Auctions. And the whole name Wheatland is kind of a cool thing that I read about. We're going to take a quick break. Hang in there, and we shall be back.
I'm Rebecca Curry, a two-time child cancer survivor, recipient, and advocate for Lucy's Love Bus. The mission of Lucy's Love Bus, 501c3 nonprofit, is to provide joy, comfort, and quality of life for the entire family of children with cancer. Since 2006, they have delivered love and comfort to over 3,000 children with cancer and their family members across New England. The dream of Lucy Grogan, an 11-year-old cancer patient, was to help kids with cancer who are suffering right now, before there is a cure, by offering free, integrative therapies like art, music, horseback riding, and many other activities. Unfortunately, Lucy passed away, but her dream lives on, and today Lucy's Love Bus is thriving.
I'm Red Sox Hall of Famer Rico Petrocelli. I hope that you'll consider supporting Lucy's Love Bus and all of those children who have been stricken by cancer. The Great American Collectibles Show is partnering with Lucy's Love Bus to help these kids. Let's continue Lucy's dream. Please go to lucyslovebus.org for more information.
Since 1996, Brian Drent and the staff at Denver's Mile High Card Company have led the charge in the collectibles hobby. Mile High is a full-service dealer specializing in buying and selling cards and offers a competitive consignment program for all collectors. Whether it be their computerized want list service, appraisals, or auction services, Mile High has it all. If you've been searching for a company with a selection of high-grade vintage 1888 to 1970 baseball cards and memorabilia that shares your passion, aim high, Mile High. Go to milehighcardco.com or call 303-840-2784 for more information.
This is Brian Drent, president of Mile High Card Company. Is your sports card and memorabilia collection properly insured? For easily replaced personal property, homeowners insurance is all most people need. But for prized possessions that you may have spent a lifetime collecting, it doesn't go nearly far enough. Collectibles Insurance Services has been insuring for over 50 years. They offer a full range of protection and a $0 deductible at an affordable rate with no appraisals required. I know because they insure my collection. If you have a minute, go to collectinsure.com and learn more about insuring your personal card or memorabilia collection.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
How would you like to own the bat that was used by your favorite player when he hit that towering home run or game-winning base hit? Now look no further than JT Sports, specializing in the sale and authentication of professional game-used bats. As the official authenticators of professional model game-used bats for PSA DNA, JT Sports will guarantee the authenticity of any bat purchased from them. JT Sports also buys and sells game-worn uniforms, gloves, and baseball equipment. The unique quality of the collectible is what JT Sports is all about. Give them a call at 609-487-8003 or check them out at GameUseBats.com.
Hey, we are back and chatting with Chuck and Stacy Whisman from Hobby House, BSM, Wheatland Auctions. Chuck, what's the company you work for? You make $1 million a year on that, all that good stuff. Before we get back to them, though, it's time for another Crackerjack moment, brought to us each week by our good friend Paul Borges and PB Collectibles. Go to pbcollectibles.com for that special vintage card at amazing prices. Those of you that don't know it, we got a nice chat call from our book distributor who found 4 cases of our Crackerjack book that we thought they were long gone, and I think we have about maybe a dozen left, somewhere around there. And we're discounting them. You can go to tomzapplermedia.com. Lou will tell you about that. But this week's Crackerjack moment is about one of my favorite players, Nap Lajoie. Nap Lajoie was truly a great player. There's no debate there. As a matter of fact, he was once walked intentionally with the bases loaded. It's said that he could hit the ball so hard that it actually tore the cover off of a ball on a few occasions. In 1901, Knapp batted an amazing .426 with 232 hits. During his 21 season in the majors, he batted over 316 times. Probably the greatest and most controversial batting race in history took place in 1910 between Nap Lajoie and Ty Cobb. The race was tight, but Cobb had the advantage. Lajoie would need a hit in every at-bat in his final game of the season to win. The Naps, named after him, faced the St. Louis Browns that historic day. The Browns disliked Cobb so much that they helped Lajoie by playing their third baseman in shallow left field, even though Lajoie was laying down bunts. Lajoie went 8 for 8, securing the title with the aid of the opposing team. A week later, Ban Johnson, the American League president, declared Cobb the winner by .000860 margin. By his figures, Lajoie finished at 384 to Cobb's 385. However, both Cobb and Lajoie were awarded a new Chalmers automobile that they essentially could, because they tied, basically. The 1910 contest is still controversial to this day, with some sources showing Cobb the winner and some showing Lajoie as the batting champ. Defensively, Lajoie was stellar at second base, leading the league in assists 3 times, putouts 5 times, and fielding percentage 7 times. When he was traded to the Cleveland Broncos in 1902, the team was so ecstatic that they renamed themselves the Naps. At the end of the season, Lajoie was part of the second class selected to the Hall of Fame and lived to the ripe old age of 89 with a .338 lifetime batting average, over 3,200 hits, 3 uncontested batting titles, a triple crown, as well as solid defensive play. He could be considered one of the 3 or 4 greatest second basemen of all time. And that's another Crackerjack moment.
If you want to take advantage of the few remaining copies of this book available, go to tomzapplermedia.com/Crackerjack Collection to order your copy of the Crackerjack Collection, Baseball's Prize Players. This great book will give you a glimpse into the personal and professional lives of the players in this iconic collection. That's the Crackerjack Collection, now on sale at 30% off the regular retail price. Go to tomzapplermedia.com/Crackerjack Collection.
All right, let's get back to Chuck and Stacy. Okay, Wheatland Auctions. What's the backstory to the title of Wheatland or Wheatland Auctions?
So Wheatland, I tell you, it is hard coming up with a name. And so it was really a struggle when we were opening the company. We did VSM and Wheatland Auction, both opened on the same day. And we are from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, Lancaster County. And we wanted something that was synonymous with the county. And Wheatland is, a big, reference point here as far as names. So Wheatland was President James Buchanan's homestead. He is from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and his home is still available for tour here within the county. And so there's some other businesses that kind of reference that Wheatland background, and we thought it would be a great name and to adopt for the auction company.
You guys are really
the Wheatland home. I think it was built in early 1800s.
Now, you guys, are you guys both from Lancaster originally? I mean, are you guys? You're not.
Neither of us. So Chuck, is from outside Philadelphia. Grew up right in the suburbs of Philly in Delaware County. And I grew up in York County, which is close. So when we got married, we kind of ended up like halfway in between both of our.
Lancaster's a pretty big town, isn't it?
It's a big county. Yeah, it's a big county.
It's a pretty big vacation spot.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Shockingly. But we have, it's a lot of Amish and a lot of Amish attractions and things like that here in Lancaster County that we're very known for. So.
And also about 5 miles or less from Spooky Nook, one of the biggest sports complexes. So people from all over do volleyball, basketball, whatever type of sport.
Have you guys ever been up to Boston?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I have. I've been there multiple times.
You have. Stace, you got to come up. You got to come up someday.
Yeah.
Ellen and I would love to meet you guys for dinner. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
Very
that'd
nice.
be great. Or in Florida, because you're in Florida half the time, right?
Well, we're in Florida for several months. Yes, we are. We try to get out of the cold, so since we're sick of it, to be honest.
Very good choice this year. Yes.
I was going to say this is a good winter to be out of the cold.
We are very pleased with our decision this year.
And Tom, who's the closest minor league team, or not minor league, spring training team?
Actually, we're in really this. As a matter of fact, it's funny you mentioned this. We're going to a game in 2 weeks. We are 15 minutes away from Roger Dean Stadium, where both the Marlins and St. Louis Cardinals have their spring training. 15 minutes to the west, and then 15 minutes to the east. We're 15 minutes from the it's called the Sports Park or the Sports Complex in West Palm Beach, where the Washington Nationals and the Houston Astros have spring training. So we're 15 minutes from two great places. We used to go quite a bit, not as much now, and I'm a little irritated because we wanted to go, typically we had talked about Rico and I going to a Red Sox game. Rico was going to throw out the first pitch, but it looks like the Red Sox canceled the game, so there are no Red Sox games here this year, which we're a little disappointed in. None.
Okay. So, I'm going to be down in Clearwater for a game in a couple weeks, and we also sponsor the Darren Dalton Foundation, so they're doing a celebrity bartending event on March 8th. It's a Sunday, and it's a fun event and for a good cause.
Very cool. Very cool. Lou, did you?
No, I was just wondering. I was just doing the calculation in my head. How far are you away from Miami and the World Baseball Classic?
Oh, that's a whole nother thing. We're a 55-minute drive to Miami. I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
So the first time they did that, I went to a couple of games because we always used to go down to spring training when the girls were young, and it was fascinating to see some of the other countries that their fans were more like soccer fans of how festive it was during a baseball game.
Sure.
And I forget, I saw Puerto Rico maybe against Mexico or something. And I mean, it was flags and standing the whole time.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Lou, did you see the breakdown, Lou, of the Red Sox players and who they're playing for?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable. They're playing, it's like the United Nations.
I love the American
playing for Mexico. It's like really cool. And Anthony's playing for Italy. Rico's Roman Anthony. I don't know if you know who he is, but keep an eye on him. This kid he's the real deal. And it's kind of a funny thing is that his dad lives right down the street from where Rico is here.
Anthony.
I'm sorry. His name is Anthony. And he is dying to meet Rico. They were supposed to have lunch last week, but Rico couldn't. But it's funny because this is a kid who's a superstar, and his dad is an old throwback, fan, and is just dying to meet Rico, which is kind of interesting. Hey, let's talk about Wheatland Auctions now. You guys have an auction going on right now?
Going live soon. So beginning in March.
Yeah.
So I think the first Sunday in March is when we're hoping to get it going. We actually have JSAs at our store today going through thousands of autographs. So we want to make sure every single autograph is reviewed by an expert and by a JSA, and everything comes with an auction letter. So
let me ask you this question, Chuck and Stace. I walk into the store. I have a scrapbook of really cool cards. I say I want to sell these, and I mean, how do you approach something like that? Do you say to the customer or the potential customer, hey, I can make you an offer here, or you may be better off putting it into one of our auctions? How do you handle all that?
Great question. We usually go direct them to the auction first, because especially the nicer stuff, as much as we'd love to buy the stuff, the owner deserves the opportunity to make the most money. And that's just rooted in, how we want to treat people. Now, some people will say, listen, I can't wait. I can't wait for that time period. And might want money that day. And that's the situation where we might end up buying it from them.
Interesting. Very interesting. Did the Uncle Jimmy find, from a business standpoint, give you guys, personally, we've been doing, you guys have been a sponsor of this show for a long, long time. But once the Uncle Jimmy find came through Wheatland Auctions, you guys kind of exploded. Did that give your business a bump?
I think we'll always appreciate the exposure that we got from the Uncle Jimmy collection. It was an incredible year and a half over COVID for us, and just a great opportunity for people to see what our business model looks like, how we run things, how we like to do things through the auction process. And even after you purchase, we try and be so fast with shipping and customer service and things like that. But I would say, on a day-to-day basis here, we're more back to business as usual. We love helping families. We love, we certainly have collectors that we work with from all over the country that will send us their items and we'll get up for auction. But we also have a lot of families that come in the door because they have heard that we're honest and trustworthy, and they can bring their items to us and know that we're going to do a good job for them. And that's something that we really appreciate and pride ourselves on.
Tell us about your staff.
So we have a lot of new staff right now, kind of have added to our team. We have some staff that have been with us from the very beginning in 2013 when we first opened our doors. So we have a gentleman who's been with us since the beginning, and he is excellent in vintage cards. We always say Bill is like a walking encyclopedia. He doesn't need a computer to look anything up. He just knows everything. We don't really know how he does, but he does.
And he had a sports card store from the mid 70s through the 1990s, his own store in Hershey, right?
So he's been just an incredible asset to us. We have Derek works for us as our operations manager. Tyler kind of heads up our eBay and online sales and shipping departments. We just added a new full-time employee, Tammy. For anybody that follows our social media, Tammy's been making some appearances now. And she's kind of going to head up our other online operations, as well as just, she's great in the store with customers and great with working with collectors and loves working with kids. My mom works here. She's in a few days a week. She does all of our books and kind of keeps us all in line and on track. You'll see her in social media and in some of the Hobby House episodes as well. And then when they're home from school, we have some college kids that have been working with us for a lot of years. They're here over Christmas breaks, Thanksgiving breaks, and summer, as well as our own 3 daughters, although they're the hardest ones to wrestle in here to help us work. But sometimes you'll see them as well. So,
Stacy, talk about your business model. You mentioned it earlier. Do you see an emphasis of growing the auction part of it, or the show part of it, or the brick and mortar part of it, or is it going to be all balanced? How do you see this progressing in the next few years?
It's going to be so interesting to see. I think one of the things that's been so fun for us, especially since Hobby House started airing, but also with the Card Life, is that people are finding us and traveling distances to get to us, which we really appreciate. It's just given us an incredible ability to reach people that maybe otherwise didn't know about us. But we always say it's always been so interesting, the relationship between, when we always say, like, when the store is busy and bustling, a lot of times it seems like the auction people are looking more to buy than sell. And so sometimes those are when we're really out there working to try and get those consignments. And, when the store is maybe not making quite as many sales, that seems to be when everybody's coming in to sell through Wheatland. So it's just it's been an interesting dynamic over the years to see kind of how they complement and work together, and where, one picks up for the other.
And we also help people get their own items graded, or if it's an autograph, authenticated. So that's a big part of what we do. And if they're ever ready to sell it, we give them different avenues and opportunities to help them. We're here to help.
What is your mix
between, buy,
What's the mix between cards and memorabilia? 95% cards,
I'd say.
For in the store or
I'm
auction?
saying in the store.
In the store, I would say yes. 95% of the time it's cards. I would say the auctions. It really, every auction's different. Some auctions are so heavy memorabilia and some auctions are so heavy cards. So it's, that really, it's oddly cyclical when it comes to.
Yeah, you never know. Like we might get a massive amount of T206 cards. This next auction is a ton of really cool T206 cards. Some really good condition ones. We got a handful that are 5 or better grades that you never see,
While we're doing the pie charts, how about vintage versus modern or non-sports versus sports? Are you doing any non-sports? Is that a growing part of the industry?
Yeah, non-sports has grown like crazy. And in many cases, Pokemon, there's other like One Piece. There's so many things that we can't get enough.
Yeah.
The non-sports is, there's certain ones that we just struggle. I wouldn't say struggle. I have to work harder to get inventory for our collectors.
And to maintain inventory. I think it's also surprising too. Like I know a handful of months ago, SpongeBob came in store. And I thought, why would we buy SpongeBob? Well, SpongeBob was sold out in a day. So it's kind of crazy to see like some of these trends and some of the non-sports things that are coming out.
Chuck, do you guys and Stace, Pokemon has been very foreign to us, and we're the first to admit it. As a matter of fact, we're going to be doing, in probably within the next 3 or 4 weeks, we're going to do a Pokemon show because, at least for the hobby, I think it's important to have a basic knowledge. Did you guys have to go through a big learning curve for Pokemon, number one, and number two, do you understand what it's all about?
The number of people collecting Pokemon, it's interesting, people get into Pokemon from a young age. There's a lot of people that aren't sports fans. And if you're not a sport fan and you collect, odds are you're going to be a Pokemon fan and collector.
Yeah.
And those people tend to still collect as they get older. So, our buyers are little kids or older people who collected when they were kids. And, they might be more the investors. Some collectors, some do it because they love it and enjoy it and play the game. But the number of people collecting Pokemon specifically is massive.
And coming in and grading Pokemon cards.
Yeah, we get a lot graded. And the shows that you go to these days, they have separate rooms now. There are separate rows that are just filled with Pokemon that you never saw that before.
Very cool. We had chatting with Chuck and Stace from Wheatland Auctions, VSM, the Hobby House, from the Philadelphia area. Speaking of Philly, Louis, why don't you tell our viewers and listeners about our good friends at the Philly Show? Are you guys going to be at the Philly Show?
I'll stop by to buy. We're not set up. We used to set up there. We're just, the store can be pretty busy on weekends and so forth. So it's just tough to hold up. Yeah.
Luke?
Well, East Coast Sports Marketing, along with eBay, are pleased to present the Philadelphia Sports Collectors Show, the Philly Show, from Friday, March 6th to Sunday, March 8th. It's going to be held at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center Halls A and B and 100 Station Ave. That's in Oaks, Pennsylvania. The Philly Show is bigger and better than ever. Shop from over 1,000 tables from 300 of your favorite hobby dealers from across the country, displaying sports cards and collectibles from the 1800s to the present day. Visit the new Pokemon TCG section of over 100 tables. Major sports auction houses and third-party grading and authentication companies are on hand to assist your collecting needs. The Philly Show is family-friendly. All kids under 10 get in for free. Military gets 50% off. Autographed guests include 10-plus baseball Hall of Famers like Mike Piazza, Chipper Jones, Ozzie Smith, Steve Carlton, 10-plus football Hall of Famers like Ray Lewis, Earl Campbell, Jack Ham, Eagles legend Brian Dawkins, Randall Cunningham, Vince Papale, and many more. For more information, go to thephillyshow.com. And remember, since 1975, the Philly Show is where it all started.
And to our viewers and listeners, don't forget, obviously, Ellen and I are working, and Leighton are working on a new book project that is going to be released at the 2027 National, hopefully. maybe beforehand, but that one of the big features will be the Uncle Jimmy find and a couple of other great collections and finds that the Whismans were involved with. One, I believe, was with Brian Drent from Mile High. Was that? Yeah. We're going to talk. That's part of a larger story.
Yeah, you know what? I'm really looking forward to what you're doing there in that collaboration, because what the Uncle Jimmy collection taught me was the story behind the collection and the love of collecting. And, for us, you asked us earlier about it. It showed us that, it doesn't matter the size of your auction house. You can get the message and the story out. And if it's a good story, it will go across the world and resonate.
I can't stress that enough, what you just said, because some of the backstories are just amazing, that we're really excited about. And then there are a couple of others that you kind of know what happened. There's one that, and I talked about it last week. There's one that I'm working on that we're really trying to connect the dots. And if we were able to connect the dots, I said it last week, it's going to turn the hobby upside down, because it has to do with the T206 Wagner, the McNall Gretzky Wagner. But we're trying to connect the dots, and I don't know, we'll see if we're successful.
This is what turns the card from a piece of cardboard and a transactional piece of cardboard into legacy and legend and storytelling. And I think it grows the hobby so much, understanding the backstory of some of these vintage cards.
And even the memorabilia part of it too. I mean, some of the memorabilia stories that we're having, I mean, some of the original owners that consigned to the auction houses, they were so passionate about what they had, and so many of them didn't want to relinquish the card or the piece of memorabilia, but for financial reasons they had to. Mm-hmm. So it's just some really, really cool stories.
You know what's neat? I like that, uniforms now, you can actually match it to specific game. I've been meaning to do that. Many years ago, I bought a Ken Griffey Jr. Game used jersey. It sold at an auction for a couple $100. It's got all the right paperwork that it was an actual game used jersey, but I need to find time to
it's unbelievable.
Just a little bit of time and then find out what game it was from, and who knows?
I'm telling you, like that Ruth called short jersey that was huge. That's in the book. I mean, the photo matching on that, what it all narrowed down to was there was a hole that was stitched in the jersey that Ruth had, and they had stitched it up, and that's what they photo matched. They photo matched the jersey with the picture of the stitch. It's just like some really incredible stuff what they're doing today. Mind-boggling. All right, listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we've invited our good friend, attorney, judge Steve Lane. Now, Steve lives in New Orleans, and he's been at Mardi Gras for the last week. Yesterday, he called me from a gutter on Front Street, I think is the name of the street. I don't even know what the name of the main drag is. But Steve's a diehard Yankee. And by the way, I hate to plug his book, but he wrote a great book. And a good part of his collection, by the way, is at Yankee Stadium. But we're going to take a quick break. I asked Steve to come in at the last moment because he brought up a topic yesterday that I want to get the Whismans involved in, get their opinion as well as Lou. So hang in there. We'll be right back.
I'm Rebecca Curry, a two-time child cancer survivor, recipient, and advocate for Lucy's Love Bus. The mission of Lucy's Love Bus, 501c3 nonprofit, is to provide joy, comfort, and quality of life for the entire family of children with cancer. Since 2006, they have delivered love and comfort to over 3,000 children with cancer and their family members across New England. The dream of Lucy Grogan, an 11-year-old cancer patient, was to help kids with cancer who are suffering right now, before there is a cure, by offering free, integrative therapies like art, music, horseback riding, and many other activities. Unfortunately, Lucy passed away, but her dream lives on, and today Lucy's Love Bus is thriving.
I'm Red Sox Hall of Famer Rico Petroselli. I hope that you'll consider supporting Lucy's Love Bus and all of those children who have been stricken by cancer. The Great American Collectibles Show is partnering with Lucy's Love Bus to help these kids. Let's continue Lucy's dream. Please go to lucyslovebus.org for more information.
Pristine Auction is a family-owned and operated online auction specializing in autographed memorabilia, sports cards, coins, art, and collectibles. Since their founding in 2010, they've grown to 2 facilities in Phoenix, Arizona, totaling over 60,000 square feet. Jared Cavalier and an incredible staff of over 150 team members serve a very large customer base and enjoy every minute of it. By working with leading authentication companies, Pristine ensures all items are 100% authentic. In addition, third-party authenticators regularly travel to Pristine Auction to provide authentication services on site. Pristine Auction strives to operate its business in a way that's honoring to God, their families, and their customers. With a strong focus on speed, quality, and premier customer service, their mission is to be the leading online auction for every level of collector and fan. Pristine also works for Hope Sports and Identity Hoops International, traveling to Mexico to build houses for the less fortunate. Pristine Auction offers several online auction formats with thousands of auctions ending each day. For more information, go to pristineauction.com. That's Pristine Auction, the best in the business.
If you're a discerning collector interested in owning the most important pieces in the hobby, look no further than Wheatland Auctions. The original sports auction and appraisal house, Leland's was established in 1985 by legendary Pioneer founder Joshua Leland Evans. And today, President Mike Hefner carries on their tradition. From the Tom Brady card and memorabilia collection to the famed Boston Garden auction to high-end card auctions from every major sport, Leland's has always maintained the highest standards. Go to Lelands.com and get your bid in. That's Leland's, the hobby's leading sports auction house for 4 decades.
It's often been said that championships are won on the practice field, and world records come only to those willing to work harder than everybody else. Heritage Auctions is the world's largest collectibles auctioneer because we believe that becoming the best is only an invitation to the challenge of remaining the best. This requires the skills of the hobby's top experts, capable of identifying and maximizing value for our consigners. It requires the most visited website in the industry, courting a global audience of collectors over 1.5 million strong. It requires a dedicated press department that expands our global reach far beyond the entrenched hobby marketplace. It's hard work, but a simple premise. Present the finest collectibles to the largest population of potential buyers, and world records will come. We invite all listeners to put the unmatched power of Heritage Auctions to work for you. Auction evaluations are always free, and our commission-based fee structure ensures that our interests are always aligned. The highest possible price for your collectibles. There will always be new world records to chase, so let's chase them together. Visit our website at ha.com and request your no-obligation review today.
Hi, this is Dan from Memory Lane Auctions, here to remind you that the renowned Memory Lane Collectibles Company has served as a beacon of light to the collecting community for the past several decades. Indeed, folks, it has been our utmost privilege and pleasure to provide the most enthusiastic collectors with an abundance of the finest sports cards and memorabilia for America's most coveted sports personalities via our world-class auctions. Whether you choose either a private sale transaction or the auction route, Memory Lane cordially invites you to reach out to us to maximize the value of your prized possessions. Also, it is not just sales that we pride ourselves on being the best of the rest, because if you are seeking a particular keepsake for your esteemed gathering, we will be relentless in our quest to find that special piece to fulfill your collecting dreams. So no time to wait. Reach out to us today for the purposes of capitalizing on our unparalleled marketing capabilities. Simply pick up the phone and dial 877-606-5263. That's 877-606-LANE, or find us on the World Wide Web at www.memorylaneinc.com. Now is the time for your valued consignment to ultimately become another one of Memory Lane's record-setting prices.
Okay, we are back. Chuck and Stace are in the house with us, and our other friend, a good man. Actually, Steve, yesterday you called me for the first time and actually made sense with the topic that you called me on. So I want to thank you for that.
Well, that's okay. And, you introduced me at the very beginning of this show as being someone who I think you said was against the grain. And
no, I called you an outlier.
An outlier. Well, it's against the grain, an outlier. The best example of which is out of the hundreds of thousands and maybe millions of intelligent Yankee fans out there, I'm one of the very few that would actually show up on this show. It's me, Joe Tomasulo, and John Tobby, and that's it.
We have Yankees fans every week. What are we talking about? It seems like every week there's a Yankees fan.
I said intelligent Yankee fans. Okay.
Hey, Steve, all kidding aside, first of all, before we get into our discussion, a little plug for the book. You wrote a great book. You don't, of course, you don't have a copy of it in your possession right now, right?
No, I'm in my office. Right. Oh, well, I'm in my office, but I happen to have. Let's see. Can you see that? There it is.
Nice.
Right. Great book. All kidding aside, one of the foremost Mickey Mantle collectors in the country. A lot of Steve's items, a couple of Steve items are going to be in the book. Steve, Chuck, you can appreciate this. Steve owned, not any longer, he owned the very first baseball ever signed by Mickey Mantle.
Wow.
How old was he, Steve?
The very first baseball from 1949. He was 17 or 18 years old with the Independence Yankees. And I also had, I'm slowly selling off my collection.
That's because you're 85.
But I also had the earliest known Mickey Mantle autograph. It was on a Type 1 fourth grade photograph signed by him when he was in fourth grade.
Crazy
so
stuff.
Cool.
Crazy
and,
stuff.
And Tom, we were talking, remember when I discovered the first Mickey Mantle mascot dog food card?
That's actually that's a word that's going to be in the mascot dog. That's Leighton is going to be calling you on that. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was fun, and that was fun to figure out what it was, and then eventually put the whole checklist together.
I know you did. That's a crazy story. All right, listen, Steve. You called me yesterday. All kidding aside, you called me up for a reason, and you made great sense. Why don't you tell us about everybody knows now about the whole Tony Clark thing, but what the ramifications down the road could be with this whole salary cap issue that's going on with ownership.
Yeah, well, first of all, just to qualify what I'm about to say, this is not intended to be a prediction as much as it is an observation. Because I can't
or a question.
When people make predictions and 99 out of 100 times they're wrong, and the only time you hear from them is when they get that one time right. So this isn't a prediction; it's an insight based on history. And I'm sure there are others that might have thought about this, but yesterday's event, when Tony Clark resigned as, I guess, the director of the Major League Baseball Players Association, I think was the first step in what I think will be a process from, say, now to March of 2027. For those who aren't aware, there's a collective bargaining agreement between Major League Baseball and the players that's set to end on December 1st, 2026. If the players and Major League Baseball don't have a deal by December 1st of 2026, there's going to be a work stoppage. And there are like 2 or 3 major issues. The owners want a salary cap. The players have said absolutely no. The players want to get rid of what they perceive to be, the owners want to get rid of what they perceive to be economic disparity. A lot of them are really upset about the Dodgers and the Mets spending and, not making it competitive for any of the other teams. Even Hal Steinbrenner with the Yankees said he would be willing to consider a cap. He mentioned $300 million. Not that there are many teams that they would meet that cap. And they're also issues of rule changes. The players want to have more input in rule changes. So there's all types of issues that could result in a work stoppage. And now you have the head man for the association resigning. The feds have been investigating him and the association for a while in connection with the finances of the association. But this is the first time anybody mentioned anything about a relationship between him and his sister-in-law. So I don't know what all the issues are, but they're apparently serious enough that now the players need to find a new head while they're playing in spring training. And while you have all these issues, at least one of which the owners, I don't think, are going to give in on. They are not going to go forward without a salary cap, and the players say they won't agree to a salary cap. And I remembered what happened in 1994, the last time there was a strike, and the fans were just so upset about it, and the fact that the season in '94 was canceled. It took a great playoff between the Yankees and Seattle and Ken Griffey to kind of bring it back, and then the McGuire-Sosa home run race to further bring it back. So it took several years. Now, how does that affect the baseball card market? Well, to me, the way it affects it is modern cards and these price fluctuations are dependent upon player performance. And if there's a strike, there is no player performance. And you look at these cards going up and down in value based upon who's hot, who's not, who's having an MVP year, who's having a Cy Young year, who's about to break a year-end record like they just had with Cal Raleigh and Aaron Judge. Is Aaron Judge going to win his third straight MVP? Who's the hot rookie? You know, that card price is going to go up and down. Tom, I had sent you last week a report that somebody had paid $5,000 for a card of a player who was drafted third in the draft and hasn't even played minor league baseball yet. So, you know, modern day cards are affected by whether or not anyone is playing. And if nobody is playing, it would be safe to assume, or reasonable to assume, that it may affect the value downward of modern cards. Well, how would that affect vintage? Well, the desire and or the value for Mantle, Mays, Aaron, Clemente is not going to be affected at all by a strike, because vintage is a long-term investment, and modern cards, for better or worse, are speculation. You have people that are flipping. You have the flavor of the month. So if there is a strike, there's going to be some uncertainty in the card hobby in terms of modern cards. And if I was someone who wanted to have some certainty in what I was spending money on, I'd spend it on the aspect of the hobby that has the most certainty, where I know values are going to go up. They're not going to go down, and that's in the vintage cards. So I could see modern collectors, younger collectors, at least at some point in time, maybe holding back on the amount of investment they put in modern cards and moving it towards vintage cards. Because
Chuck, I want to get your opinion is, because I know you guys handle a lot of modern cards, but then you handle a lot of vintage cards. What are your thoughts on if there is a lockout and these players are not going to get to play? Do you think it's got to affect it? I would think.
Yeah, you know, and most people that are collecting modern are collecting across sports. So, and a lot of the people who are speculating and investing buy during the off season. So right now, football is over. These next few months here are perfect time football before the football season. So you could look at a strike as a elongated off season. That some people are going to dive in and buy heavily for whenever baseball would come back. If there's,
so they're going to speculate big time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the modern market is really about speculation more than anything for the people trying to make money, and the off-season buying is where a lot of that investment is going.
So how does that work, Chuck? And because you brought this up yesterday, Steve, how does that work with the card manufacturers? Let's say that there is a lockout. Now, the card manufacturers, I don't remember how it was back in 99 or whatever, 94. Do they stop producing cards while the lockout is going on? Is that how it works? Is that how it worked the last time?
I mean, the last time multiple manufacturers had licenses. Since it's a one license, they might decide, Tops and Fat Addicts might hold or delay some of the.
Gotcha. So they would produce a card and even maybe eliminate that particular year that they're on strike if they're getting the card out.
Or let's say it's 2027 cards. 2027 cards might come out later in 2027 or 2028. We still see that. We're new baseball products coming out this week. That's 2025 Stadium Club. So,
gotcha.
So sometimes there is that delay, and it could get delayed. They could decide to do that. The other thing, if the players aren't playing, it might allow them to, catch up and get a lot of the players to sign the autograph cards, and the players still get paid to sign the autographs.
Good point.
Sometimes there's a delay while they're playing doing that.
So Steve, he's making a very good point. There's nothing to prohibit cutting deals with players and going back, as Chuck is saying, and signing older cards, from prior years, gives them an income on the other hand. But the thing that kind of I resonated with me is that if something like that happens, Steve, you're assuming that a lot of young collectors are going to gravitate even a little more towards vintage. Chuck, and Stace, what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that'll happen?
I think that's definitely possible. And for younger collectors, they need to have an appreciation and desire to learn about those players and so forth. So, I don't always see that. You look at.
I was going to say the same thing. Like
those of us that are older than 40 tend to think that Michael Jordan was, the best basketball player. Maybe people older than Jordan with some people. People under 40 always go to LeBron James. And
good point.
I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah, different perspective. I was going to also say,
that's a good point.
Having conversations in the store when you have, parents and grandparents with kids, and they'll talk about their favorite players growing up, and they were, like key star players, and the kids are going, I never heard of that guy.
Yeah.
So so I guess it really depends on the collector and the age of the collector and their appreciation maybe for jumping in and learning more about what their parents and grandparents collected and knew versus just sticking with the current players that they're seeing on their screen.
Steve,
last baseball strike, and Steve, what are your thoughts? Last baseball strike was, baseball was definitely king. Nowadays, other sports, basketball
That's a good point too.
Football have gotten so hotter. In many cases, I think of the national, football is king during the national, and it's interesting to see that dynamic where baseball is America's pastime, but with younger people, there's definitely been shifts.
Steve, what are your thoughts?
I agree wholeheartedly about the shift. I mean, when I first was collecting in the 60s, baseball was the sport. Nobody really bought football cards or basketball cards that much, or nobody even thought about soccer. And like you said, you go to a show now. I was just at a show a couple of weeks ago here in New Orleans. I'd say 50% of it was Pokemon. It was crazy. So, but the way that I've always looked at baseball cards or collectibles in general was the same way that I would look at my own personal investments. And that is, you wouldn't put 100% of everything you own in stocks. You'd put some percentage in stocks and some percentage in bonds and some percentage in 401k and some percent, whatever. It should be, my advice to people whenever they ask me is to do the same thing with cards, to have a certain percentage in modern and a certain percentage in vintage. So if the modern market goes down, you got the vintage to balance it out. The vintage is never going to go down. event because nobody's going to learn anything new about Mickey Mantle or Ty Cobb or Willie Mays that they don't already know. And I think there are a lot of Hall of Famers who are grossly undervalued. And Tom, you've talked about, Musial and K-Line and players like that. And I don't know whether there would be any renewed interest in them. But I can tell you that, come October of 2026, which is the last date that the owners and the players usually have their major meeting right after the World Series, is when they cut their deal. If they haven't done it by World Series time, then there will be a lockout, and I think it will affect the value of the modern cards because people will have already spent their money thinking that somebody's going to be a great player, and he may be taking 2027 off.
Yeah, good point.
And Steve, one thing too, from programming on TV, they might have to show a lot of historical games, and you might have more of those old time legends being shown on TV. I think of during COVID when the baseball card industry and sports card industry went nuts. A big part of that was the Michael Jordan documentary.
That was huge.
That completely made the basketball card market go crazy.
That was huge.
So imagine if instead of playing baseball games, they show tributes to Mickey Mantle, about Ty Cobb, and more Jackie.
Something. There's too many tributes to Mickey. Mickey Mantle, the most overrated player in the history.
You are so lucky you said that before you got me on this freaking show. Okay. By the way, you're talking about my collection. I didn't realize I had this here. I own Mickey Mantle's 1963 game used glove. It's the last glove that he used in his prime, and it was in the Yankee Museum. I get a call from the Yankees one day. They say, "We got a player here, a Yankee player. He is visiting the museum. The only thing he wants to look at, he wants to hold Mickey Mantle's glove. We don't have the white gloves that you usually require us to have on their hands to touch my glove. Is it okay for this Yankee player to hold the glove?" I said, "Yeah, just take a picture of him with the glove and send it to me." He said, "Well, we're going to do a big story about it." So they sent me the picture of
Aaron Judge. Is that Aaron?
That was the only thing he wanted to touch in the Yankee Museum.
That's very. Before we end this, you blew the opportunity to buy the best piece of Mickey Mantle memorabilia, and I called you on it. I said, "Steve, here's what you need to do." When the Shack went up for bid that he was born in, I said to you, Steve, buy the Shack and move it to Yankee Stadium into the concourse. Home run. You refused to do it.
Right.
Absolutely refused.
Instead, I used the money that I could have bought that house in the middle of nowhere in Commerce, Oklahoma, to buy one of only two signed 1952 Mantle Topps rookie cards signed while he was playing for the Yankees.
Good point. All right, listen, we're just about out of time. Hobby House, when's it on? Every what?
So it airs each month, a new episode. It's regionally on regional sports channels across the U.S. Tom, you can see it up in New England.
Nesson, baby. You guys, listen, our Boston fans, every one of you guys are hooked on Nesson. That's the flagship TV broadcast for the Red Sox. Everybody knows Nesson, and Hobby House is on Nesson. Make sure you watch it.
And other stations similar stations across the U.S. out to California. So it's fun. So check it out. Give us some ideas. And if you're ever in Pennsylvania, stop and see us in Lancaster.
And don't forget to go to wheatlandauctions.com. Their auction is going on right now. Mr. Lane's book. What's the name of the book, Steve? My mind is
Mickey Mantle, A Life in Memorabilia. It's all sold out except for the Baseball Hall of Fame has some. I don't make a penny off of it. I donated books to the Hall.
The books that we sell at the Hall of Fame, we make money on. Just thought I'd bring that to your attention.
That's the one or two books that you sold. I understand that.
But, we just got another big order from them, but that's okay. And by the way,
Baseball Hall of Fame has my book.
It's a great book. It really is. Steve gave Ellen and I. Ellen helped a little bit with the book when Steve wrote it, but it's a great book. With that being said, Chuck and Stace, as always, we love you guys. I wish you the best with the show. Steve, keep doing what you're doing, except get rid of the damn Yankee sweatshirt. Come to the other side. Come to the evil empire.
My daughter already became a freaking Red Sox fan. That's it. I'm never sending another kid to Boston University again.
Lou, I don't know if you remember Steve. You know, he was in the studio with us. Do you remember?
I remember Steve, sure.
Yeah, then after that, I took him to Borelli's, and all he did was rave about Borelli's sandwich.
We'll send him another sub. Oh, no, Borelli's is gone.
They're lousy now.
Yeah.
All right, Lou, thanks for everything. And to our viewers and listeners, we love you guys. Thank you so much for your support. Without you guys, Lou and I would be on local Lawrence cable TV. With that being said, we love you guys and happy collecting.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.